Welcome to the Never Been Promoted podcast and YouTube channel. I'm on a mission to help you cut the time to all the things that are holding you back so you can unleash your entrepreneur. We're going live again. Let's do this. Back-to-back live podcast today, YouTube. Today, we're going to be joined by a special guest named Katy Rey. I was messing with her name. I almost missaid it there. Founder of Fostering Hearts in Florida and Humans First Coaching, but also Not a Great Whisperer podcast, which I don't know that means she yells in people's ears or has trouble controlling the sound of her voice. We're going to find out here in a minute. Before we get going, listen, this is one of the first times you've heard the podcast or seen the YouTube channel. Thanks for stopping by. Give it a try. I'm here to really try to help entrepreneurs unleash their entrepreneur. This notion of cutting the time, it's a metaphor of all the stuff that holds you back. People, things you want, excuses you make, and those little fears you hold on to. No need to do that. Let it go. Go become a great entrepreneur. And if you can learn something from any one of our guests of what they're doing in the world today, how they got there in their journey, that kind of micro mentoring will make you really realize you're not alone and you can do it. And you just do have to just kind of do it sometimes. Sometimes it's going to be up to you. If you've been here before, by the way, thank you for coming back. This is it means a lot to me. Only call to actions I typically ever do is ask you to kind of give the YouTube channel a subscribe at Never Been Promoted. And if you really like the podcast, check it out on Apple, Spotify, any of the big ones, and any of them actually, and give it a 5-star. If you don't like it's a 5-star, you can get a hold of me on LinkedIn, and you can yell at me about why it sucks. But if it doesn't suck, give it a 5-star. That's all I ask. All right, enough talking. Too much talky. Let's bring on Katy. Katy, how are you?
Hey, Thomas. I love that you said I yell. I do. I'm not a great whisperer. I just yell in your face. That's basically why I named it Not a Great Whisperer podcast.
Right. I mean, and it's, you got to mute your mic a little bit with that. You're joining today from Tampa, Florida, correct?
I am. I'm in the Clearwater area, but I am in Tampa Bay with clients, and the Fostering Hearts is located there. So yeah, Tampa, Florida. You were just here. A lot of people don't realize
Tampa is, I think it means lightning. And people my kids are like, no, it doesn't. I'm like, I think it does actually mean lightning. And how much lightning you actually get in the state of Florida, but specifically in that area, is incredible. It's like 5x anywhere else in the country. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's not great. I mean, I feel like I know like a few people that have been struck by, not like people who know people. So like, yeah, I don't think it's not a great place to talk about if you're talking about lightning and being struck by lightning.
It creates does it create some like PTSD for some people?
Yeah, probably.
Because it's funny because I've been on the beach, a number of times in Clearwater, other places, and sometimes my wife and I kind of get into it a little bit when I'm like, I see the giant cloud coming away, and I look at my phone, it's like 8-9 miles away. I'm like, hey, listen,
yeah,
we need to kind of get off this beach. And they're like, it's so. I'm like, it's lightning doesn't care. It shoots all directions, right? It's a hammer of Thor's coming for us. And
I'm safety like you are.
Yeah.
Floridians are not. I'm a Floridian though. I was born in Buffalo, New York, but I grew up here since I was 5. But I watch people stay in there while it's pouring. They're like, oh, 2 miles of light. It's okay. It's fine. I'm running. I'm running. Get me out of here.
Before we get into all the things you got working, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I'll do a little icebreaker because you're in Florida. So ice is that frozen stuff, but you remember maybe as a child. What is the best thing and the worst thing about Florida?
Best thing is I love the weather. We live in paradise. There's water all around. I get to drive over bridges with water all the time. The worst thing is the weather because I'll walk to my car and be sweating profusely because the humidity is so bad. I'm in a blazer. I'm in an outfit for networking, and then you're just sweating, and you're like, "Oh, why did I do?"
But everyone is. Everyone gets down there like,
listen,
you really poured it out on your way into the
paradise. Yeah, like what'd you do? So I have curly hair, so when I wear it straight, pointless sometimes.
Wait, why even straighten it? That's just like you're just asking to redo things. It's like
you're asking to.
It's like having a birthday party for a 5-year-old, and you clean your house first, and knowing that they're going to run around. You're like, just let it. Baby, actually, don't do it fully. It's just going to get dirty right away again.
You're right. I actually wholeheartedly agree with that.
I say that as someone with short hair.
Yeah, just put some gel in it and lives his life.
It's not even gel at this point. It just stays. It's been the same position for like 48 years, so it just knows what to do now at this point. It cuts itself. It's great. I have like a self-cutting hair.
Perfect.
It's called a wig, people. That's what this is. It's a wig that I put a little bald spots in.
I
This
mean,
has
that's
nothing to do with
great.
entrepreneurship at all, but it doesn't matter. That's what we're going to get into. All right. Do you want to set this up? Talk to me about
Yeah.
the 3 things that you have working, and then back up to maybe how you got there, because
Okay.
it's quite interesting and it's
Yeah.
heartfelt.
It is. So I'm an author. I run a company, Humans First Coaching and Consulting, where we work with various organizations with a people lead to profit focus. How do you pour into your people? How can you create an atmosphere where personal and professional growth is intertwined for your staff, your team, yourself? Humans First Coaching has been fantastic. I really love pouring into people, but what has my whole heart, is Fostering Hearts Florida. It's a nonprofit. We created a concept that utilizes our Florida virtual school curriculum, accredited curriculum, as well as an educator on site to bring education to a safe space for foster kids so they can catch up. Our public school system is not set up to support really students in this point, or teachers, and teachers don't have the bandwidth. So what we're doing is creating that safe space for them to thrive. And I'm so excited because this concept will roll across Florida. And we will have rec centers, churches, but we're starting in a place called Joshua House in Lutz, Florida. It is a 38 residential facility, 38 children residential facility. We have partnered with them. I'm a nonprofit that partners with other nonprofits because I think collaboration is key and just pushing forward the mission. But I am so excited about that. So I, do a lot of speaking events talking about helping the foster kids in the system. And we created this concept because of the gap of education, and less than 40% of foster kids are graduating high school. So we really want to raise that and give them a chance to build their self-worth and understand the resources out there. And you can find all of this stuff on my website, katyray.com. But I really like to do speaking events. I'm Not a Great Whisperer podcast. I interview ordinary people living extraordinary lives. So just everybody's journey. It matters.
It does matter. And I think if you don't always have to listen to the unicorns of the world, right? So if you're trying to learn some stuff, sometimes it's great to learn from people, because I always talk about this a lot with entrepreneurship. The measure of success is really relative to what your expectation is. So if you're expecting to be like an Elon Musk or a whatever, fill in the blank, multi-hundred millionaire or more, you're setting yourself up for a bit of disappointment. But if you can find a way to set up your life that you've helped somebody, that might be a measure of success. Maybe it's I replaced my income as a W-2 employee. That's a massive, like you're killing it at that point, because you're not needed. You're to be dependent. So I think some of the pieces you're talking about with just helping others, just from a measure of success by itself is truly it's really it's I'd love to hear, maybe give me the backstory. Like how did you land into that?
Yeah. So with both, I have always been in sales. I actually worked for Tesla on the solar. I actually worked for Elon. So I've always been in sales, IT sales, large IT manufacturers. And I've always run very large teams of like 40 inside sales reps, outside sales, all of these things. And I always focused on people, but I would always get a CEO or COO focused on the numbers, which is important. I know we have to drive revenue, but it was always a battle of like, how are we pouring into our people? That doesn't matter. Where's your next sale? So that was always my fight. And I went 15 years really just staying true to my core of people. And at the last executive team I was on, I realized I don't want to have this fight anymore. I want to work with like-minded leaders. I want to bring my ridiculous amount of energy to large groups of people, small groups of people, whatever that looks like. And I really just want to show people that it matters, you matter, and professional and personal growth is always intertwined. You can hit that promotion or never been promoted, but that title doesn't mean anything if personally you're not working on yourself. So Humans First Coaching came from that. Well, I am just an empath and I hear stories about foster care and I just couldn't sit in my sadness anymore. So I created Fostering Hearts Florida, but I did research the first 2 years to understand the gaps in the system, and education just kept coming up. And we as a team created this concept, and now we're just going straight for it, roll it across Florida, and hopefully other states pick this up, this concept, because it's going to be great for the foster kiddos. They're going to start really building their self-worth. And I think it's so important because look at us at our age, how many things do we have to incorporate, but we know where the resources are to help ourselves like grow. Like, how many things do you have on your routine to make sure you stay focused, to make sure your team, these kids don't know what they don't know. And it's really important we get in front of them and show them that there's people out there that want to support them.
And what's been the response? Like, do you have like a success story that you can kind of hang a hat on already with the non-for-profit, the
Yeah.
Fostering Hearts Florida?
Yeah. So we have a few board members that are parents, adopted parents for older kids. And this concept launch is August, but we have a 14-year-old who has had the chance to really hone in on her. She went into 2 years ago not being able to know what a negative number is, know how to do math. Her reading level is down, and now she's gotten the support she needs from tutors, as well as a guardian that's really honed in on what she needs, and she's thriving now and actually wants to share her story. It's really hard in groups to have a foster kid or former foster child share their story with all the eyes on you. We know we love it. We love it, but it's hard, but it's been really powerful for her.
Yeah. I need to do more in the world. Talk about what you're doing a little bit from, you hear this, you're like, God, I'm too selfish. And that's the response you're supposed to get. Like,
yeah, I hope I've created that, serving others. I tell the kiddos, and I think this was an Audrey Hepburn, but you have one hand for serving yourself and another hand for serving others. But it's really important. I think the timing's really important too with entrepreneurship and everything. Is I had to be in a really good place, because pouring yourself into others all the time, it gets people into burnout. We do workshops on avoiding burnout and things like that, but you have to be in a really solid place and ready for it, because there's so many ups and downs. Like, it's just, and staying the course is probably one of the hardest things for people.
Yeah. Well, talk about your own adventure. What's maybe the one main thing you've learned? You have a few things going on right now, podcasts and your consult. Like, tell me about what you've learned, but what's the biggest takeaway you've had from your own journey?
To continue being in rooms where I fill my own cup up. So I love talking about fostering hearts and serving others. So get into more rooms where I leave, where my adrenaline's really high, where I don't feel depleted. Go into rooms where you are actually filled up too. When I connect with people and they see, or we're collaborating, or they see the importance of this, it just feels so good. And I've definitely learned that as a recovering people pleaser, not everybody's gonna like me, and I'm totally cool with that.
Well, that is a problem. So I think part of when I talk about this a lot. So kind of the idea of the cut the tie metaphor. One of the things you'll have to realize, you're going to let go of some. It's not like you're like, hey, I'm done being friends with you, but you're going to get rid of people who just don't maybe get what you're doing, and they feel uncomfortable because you're taking a risk, and people tend to want to pull you to where they feel comfortable, and not less so be supportive of what you're trying to do. Mm-hmm. That's going to be one of the hardest pieces of entrepreneurship, is realizing you'll need to navigate away from certain individuals in your life. Yeah. And that could be some people that are very, very close to you. And if they're really there and they love you, or they were going to they're really a friend or whatever it is, they're going to come back around, not just when you're successful, but when they finally see how passionate you are about what you're doing. And maybe you have an example of that. I hope you do, because otherwise I got to change the question to you right away. But do you have any examples of that? Or have you seen that kind of in your own journey?
100%. And I'm someone who shows up for people a lot. And I've also had to take a step back and be like, is this something I want to do today? Is this something that will benefit me, will fill my cup up? I'm allowed to say no. But yeah, I've had actually other business owners that have been removed from my life. And it's not that I'm a very kind-hearted person, and I wish the best for everybody. But I just I don't have time for this. And I'm very honest. So I'm just right now, this doesn't serve me. This friendship doesn't serve me.
Right. What does being an entrepreneur though mean to you? So you come from teams, and you made that transition. Do you want to talk about kind of that step, fear that's going through your kind of, body at that moment? I'm going to do this myself, and excitement at the same time. And, talk about that a little bit, maybe, support structures that were in place that helped make that happen.
Well, being an entrepreneur actually was a little lonelier than I thought at first. And it was really hard for me to realize that it doesn't have to be lonely. There's other entrepreneurs, there's communities out there that want to help you and mentor you. But I always thought, as an entrepreneur, I had to just lead the charge, and asking for support was really hard at first. And I asked for support. because I see other entrepreneurs doing it. So it's really understanding too the authentic business owners across the board and seeing like the truth and kind of reading between the lines and understanding like that's a fake one, that's a real one, that's a fake one, and understanding that my journey is going to be totally different. The competition thing in the beginning was really hard on me. Like, oh, I'm supposed to be here. Oh, I'm supposed to do this. And I lead workshops that are talking about milestones and how society norms don't matter. And that happens in entrepreneurship. You're like, oh my gosh, I have to be at 1 million after 6 months. And it's like, no, it's okay. Like stay the course, stay the course. I'll take it though. I'll take the 1 million if you have it.
Well, of course, you want to hand it over. Great. And listen, so that's a big piece. So you're setting your own expectations. And I go back to this of, you're always comparing yourself to others, what they've done. A lot of that comes from self-reflection of where your shortcomings are. And sometimes it's bigger picture stuff of like, hey, you're not very humble. You're talk too much in meetings. You're completely insincere. Like what have you had any, and I don't get this vibe, but have you had that self-reflection of like, I got to really quit doing this, which I don't know. I have plenty of examples.
I did that in first room. So when I was in teams in corporate, I was not a great manager or leader. The things I would say, responses to people, and I'm like a people over everything mindset person. And it's funny because I got off away from my core because I saw other leaders doing it. So I was like, oh, this is the only way I can move up is if I strike the fear into my people and they have to hit like your 60 dials or whatever that looks like. And then I did my self-reflection. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so bad. Not uncomfortable in a good way. This is not who I am. So with entrepreneurship, I'm actually able to just bring my whole self and not have to worry about what I see on the other side or how that leader is in the community. I get to just show up.
Now you made the step. Do you remember though? Let me tell you a story. So it was actually in Florida. So just out of college, you had the big corporate consulting job. I just finished like the summer training. It was in Tampa, and I'm sitting on the beach, and I'm thinking, like everyone's partying because it's kind of like we're about to go, and I'm like, and I was thinking to myself, is this it? Like this, like I'm done with college, about to start this career, and I'm like. And I'm going to be sitting in an office and cube. And I remember sitting there like kind of like depressed about it. And I remember thinking, I really want to just kind of do something myself, but I had no clue what it was. And that to me, that was the original calling. And I could recall that moment because I remember a friend came up to me and he was like, at the time, he's like, what's wrong? I was like, is this really it? And he's like, what do you expect? Like, are you supposed to be someone like great or something? And I'm like, I thought to myself, yes. To answer your question, my narcissistic self says, yes, absolutely. I need to be at least more than this number. And so he kind of walked off like, and I was like, all right, listen, I'm not, but the point is, I know that was the calling. So here's my question to you. Did you have one of those, or once again, do I have to change the subject?
No, I had an aha moment. So I had one when I first got out of college and I was selling T1s, business to business, door to door in Miami. Because I would walk in, it was very uncomfortable. I was like, why am I selling? I would go in and just chat with the gatekeeper. I was just like, hey, it's hot out today. I'm going to get some water. And I would just be chatting. And when I would get to the decision maker, they would try to recruit all this. And when I walked out, I was like, why am I making money for other people? Like, I would just be like, what is happening? But also as a female in sales at that time, I was really just like, I want to show, like I was being very competitive. And I just wanted to be like, I want to be really good at this. And I just kept kind of pushing and kind of putting that thought behind me because I wanted to just kind of like show up. And then my aha moment was in an executive meeting. Said to me, because I was questioning what our next procedure was. And I said, that doesn't focus on people. And they said, you're not being collaborative. And we're going to need you off the executive team, but still driving revenue. And I said, this is where, if this isn't obvious enough right now, right. Katie, like
we just smacked you in the face with.
You're great at making money, but I need you away from making decisions for the people. Like, wait, this is it. Wait, and I was like, gotta go. So, and I didn't like burn a bridge. I left nicely, but I think like if that was the slap, and I waited 15 years of just like pouring into people and getting basically slapped in the face from other leadership, other people on leadership. And I was just like, why do I keep doing this? And I can still focus on people in a different way where I don't have to go through the stress.
Right. I
So
mean, and that's what's currently though in your business kind of keeping you up at night though?
the consistency on workshops for Humans First. What's keeping me up at night for Fostering Hearts is the perfect educators for these kiddos. Like just someone who loves kids and wants to show up for them. But for Humans First, it's the consistency of workshops, because the retainer is coaching, right? But I like workshops. I like when everybody comes into a room and they have those aha moments together and they're like, hey, you really suck at leadership. Hey, you too. Hey, let's talk it out. And it's consistency, them seeing how important it is to do quarterly or monthly. That piece keeps me up at night there. And that's really because of revenue, right? You just want to make sure you're consistently getting income, because I have a family to feed.
Yeah, well, and it is, and and you're doing a lot of the work. So, one thing that I love to focus on specifically, like I think the hardest part of entrepreneurship is really the idea is one thing. You can usually get operations going because there's lots of things of how to do that, but marketing is very tricky because it doesn't. If someone can't see your stuff, they're not going to buy your stuff because they don't know about it. And this is where I think a lot of people give up because good ideas, good logos, what all the other things, and they talk it, but they don't know how to get out there. So, and it's hard to scale. So maybe take a few moments on the kind of where your marketing challenges have been and where they still lie, maybe a little bit too, and also what you're kind of doing about it.
So I really love being in groups of people, like any types of marketing. For me is just like the consistency piece. You have got to get people who are good at it on your team, able to help you. I can't sit there and set up a marketing account. I'm the sales side. I'm the sales brain. But I just get in front of people, more personal relationships. But marketing is such an important tool that I just have not mastered. And really target audience. Like if I don't want to travel for the next 6 months, how am I targeting people for virtual workshops? Like what does that look like? Or if I just want to travel in the area, how does that look for Tampa Bay? But there's just so many amazing techniques that I just haven't really put enough effort into. And it's that effort, because I'm really big on passion. And I think that's one of the characteristics for entrepreneurship. Like, what are you passionate about? But also, how are you stacking the support around you? Because I'm passionate about getting in front of people, but who do I have on my team that helps me get in front of people? Like, how is this working?
Well, and I think a lot of, it's always shifting. So if marketing is not something that just comes to you, it becomes kind of a job, and you don't want to do the job, right?
I don't.
And it's hard, but you have to, and it's where a lot of people fall off and they give up, and or they spend tons of money, they go broke trying to do the ads, and you're like, but no one's going to buy that from an ad, like and so there's a strategy that's often involved and missed. In your own kind of world, you have also like the Humans First coaching, and then you have a non-for-profit. Do you feel sometimes maybe spread too thin across all the things you're doing?
Yes, I do. And so actually I had this question the other day. They're like, how do you split your time? I definitely give too much of my time to Fostering Hearts, because in networking group, I'm always in networking events or things like that. I kind of have to decide who I am that day. And it sucks because you could miss like a donor, or you could miss a workshop, and it's like having to really understand, because if you give people too much, which again, 2.5 years ago, I was telling everybody my whole spiel, and that's just nobody remembers any.
Can I get a drink? I'll be right back. I'm gonna go to the restroom and leave.
They're just like, wait, humans what? Fostering what? So if you just give them you really have to hone in on like, who are you today? Are you today?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think so. So one thing I found is when you have, when everyone a lot of entrepreneurs have what I call the entrepreneurial ADD, and they have lots of things they have passion about, and they got plenty of energy to do it. And then you slowly become the entrepreneur, where you just stand in a bunch of around like, this is all shit, all of it. And you're like, I don't know how to get out of that. But when they all work together, meaning like, hey, this is a non-for-profit and it does this, which allows you to not doing philanthropy for profit, but the idea is that serves this, but also gets you some marketing and goodwill, and you mean it. But those things work with the other, and the other works with this. When they start all tying together, it's just you. And it's hard to scale your personal brand beyond what your time allows, but at least the three things that kind of take your attention away, they at least work together to produce revenue. Do you, personally, I go every 90 days, every quarter, I look at what we're doing and saying, hey, is this offers right? Do we need to focus this thing down? Is there a piece missing, or should I remove something? Do you have the same type of cadence or anything like that to kind of really look at it? So you don't, because I'm continually feeling thin, not thin,
but you look great. But we do monthly for Fostering Hearts, but for myself, I do quarterly, like of everything I'm doing, because I have to. I've revamped I only do 2 night events. I know I have a 10, 8, and a 4-year-old. So they're attention wise there. I can't. Yeah, I mean that's a age where they want to, and I'm super fun. So I get it. You definitely.
Oh, I'm sure you're super fun now. Wait 4 years, you're not gonna be so fun anymore.
How dare you? Don't put that in the universe. But I also have to. So I set myself monthly. I'll do 2 nighttime networking events a week because I don't want to be gone every night. Weekends, I do 1 time a month. I work on a working session a week on a weekend for Fostering Hearts because that's when board members are available. So it's I make sure to really make sure my routine is healthy for me, and the kids see that mom is not only mom. Mom gets fulfilled serving others, other communities, other people, showing up for others. This is how life works. You don't all, this isn't, I don't have to sacrifice all of my time because you need me to help you tie your shoe right now. You can figure it out.
Well, my kids go, Daddy, can you have a year like fill in the blank other dad who's driving a Lamborghini or something, or has a huge home? And I'm like, can you have a great year like them? I'm like, even if I did,
I'm assuming they're teenagers.
Well, I have a 14, 12, and 9, and they all have that opinion of, can we have that great year? And I'm like, even if I did, you're not going to realize it, because I know the next year might not be great. It might be fantastic, but you're not going to see. If I'm rocking a Lamborghini, really things have changed, and you're out of the house because there's no way you're driving it. So,
and also reason number 3 to not have kids, you probably would be driving a Lamborghini.
No, I would not. No. I'd rent one just so I could be like, yeah, I'm glad I did buy that. But
I don't.
That's not the measure. It used to be. So it's interesting. So as a measure of success, right? We can talk about that a bit. Forever, it's been financial, and I can only give the man's opinion, but a lot of men, and I think there's a lot of entrepreneurs in particular, identify their persona, their sense of self-worth with financial gains, rewards, which is around entrepreneurship of how do I make money? And that's the measure. And the funny example I do is, and I'm not flexing, we have this little plaque from YouTube, right? 100,000. I have this other one that I haven't opened in 6 weeks. It's the gold one, right? And my kids are like, why don't you open that? Because I was so excited to get it. And I was like, because it's actually not aligned to my actual mission or purpose. It's a thing. It's kind of representative, making money is that'd be, we always want to make money and do things with it. But my goal is to help 1 million entrepreneurs, not to get a plaque that I got 1 million subscribers.
Yeah.
And the reason I haven't really cared to open it is because it's cool. It's a landmark, but I haven't helped that 1 million entrepreneurs, which is my goal, which is what's going to give me value. And it's interesting because it's literally a metaphor sitting next to me every day that I use. So in your own world, you still have to hit enough so you don't get by success coming from sales in particular. And where are you navigating to now? And where's the struggle?
It always was the paycheck and title. So it was always that. But again, because you allow society norms or things to get in your head, you do stray away from your core or off path. Some people would say, I got off path and this was my focus. Now that I've really focused on serving others, allowing people to show up as themselves, I'm a human that I always tell people, I am a human that with every encounter I have with you, I want to leave you better than I found you and pour my ridiculous amount of energy into you so you can realize the capability you have, who you are, and the magic that is you. And I love my lame little messaging because it just makes my heart happy. But that's how I measure success. How many people have I spoken to and impacted that day? How many people felt comfortable in my presence where they could just show up as themselves? How many people spoke up for themselves? How many people walked out of there I can do anything I put my mind to, or I can change who I am and make life better for myself. And this isn't what I'm stuck doing, or this isn't what I have to do. I talk with people about financial stability is important. It is, but does it have to be billions, Lambos, and gold plaques? No, It doesn't. What really makes you feel good? And I can be a VP or president, but if you're not like working internally to know who you are, that doesn't really matter, and you're miserable. Like it just is what it is.
So financial stability is a huge piece because it creates stress down in your families and things. So you have to make a business well enough to do this. Now, I say this. I've said this today actually earlier. I was like, the people who can't exist 12 months aren't going to make money. And the idea is you need to know that it's going to take time to establish what your services are, what your personal brand is, your business brand, how your actual value is, the price. That stuff doesn't just, you may hit it right out of the gate. It's unlikely. You're likely going to have a journey of sawtoothing of your revenue. And so in your own piece, on the financial stability side, like, talk about your own support system though to do it. Cause like if you're on your own and you're like, there are harder ways to go, but what have you put in place that wasn't there, or what was already there that helped you be successful or being successful?
More mentors, business mentors who have done it, who have gone through the really hard years, and have realized that they do have to change services. I have a co-founder for Humans First who we met on an executive team and actually started doing workshops together. But I built a community of coaches and consultants so that if I'm wholeheartedly into fostering hearts at one point, I'm going to refer that business out to people who are like-minded like me, so that I'm still creating that revenue for myself as well as a community of people. And I'm still serving others. But I'll tell you what, one of the hardest things was me realizing like, this doesn't happen overnight.
No,
like
it doesn't.
I'm not going to be just perfectly okay tomorrow. But I love people.
It's funny because, I already love what I do more than ever working for anybody, but I make way less than I ever did in corporate world. And I'm thinking, man, if I could crack that long term, I'll be super happy, right? But maybe not. I think if you go in, I love to give these kind of reflective moments, is you have to come in with the right expectation. You're doing it because you love what you're doing, because the truth is it's going to get hard. You're going to want to go curl up in a corner. That's why I don't put a couch over here. I would cry on it every day. I think is that you're going to crawl up in a ball and be like, this sucks. I'm going to go, you'll go mass supply places, and then you'll be immediately like, shit, no one's calling me back. Like, I'm back in this entrepreneurial thing. I've been there. I still do it sometimes just for fun, just to see if anybody actually would interview me. It never happens ever. Because by the way, tip to entrepreneurs, once you put the word founder on your LinkedIn or resume, no one's hiring you ever.
And you're totally right. And I can be a person that tests that, because in the very beginning, I was like, I got to get a sales job. And I was just sending resume for resume, but no one. And I'm like, I'm director of sales here. How are you not calling back? But I put founder. Like,
over. Yeah, because they know you're not going to stay, which the irony is, salespeople lifetime value is like, maybe they're 6 months to 18 months anyway. So it's like the fact that like, oh, they're going to leave. Like, you're going to ask me to go anyway. I mean, if I don't make it. So just know that just when you go all in, that's one of the ties you got to cut. You got to let go of the idea that you're ever getting a W-2 job again. But I will give you, I will shift the advice just to somebody who's kind of in that spot. It's better to show yourself as the director of sales of your own company, because it might just get lost in the noise of your resume versus the founder of your company. And so you can play that game. HR people right now are probably going, that's not, I don't care. If you need to get a job, it's
everyone's like on the comments, how dare you tell people to.
No one's commenting.
No, but you are a director. You are you could put a sales rep, because what are you doing every day? You are selling yourself.
It's true.
It's true.
So I always ask about this time in the show. Who should get a hold of you, and how should they do that? There's more to come, so don't hang up, people out there. I just like to make sure people in the middle of it, you have to listen to it. So.
Anybody interested?
Wait. As a marketer, anybody's the wrong word. Let's get very specific.
Not anybody. My expert. Always go to the expert, Thomas. Thank you. Business owners, business leaders that are leading teams, educators, and investors for fostering hearts for the foster kids. And you can find me at katyray.com. All the social media, all of the businesses are there, katyRey.com. And you can reach out to me there and talk to me. But yes, business owners, team leaders, and people wanting to get involved with education and foster kids.
Is it a full-time thing you're looking, or is there some of the education, could a current educator of a public system or whatever else who's looking for a little side hustle, help, whatever, is that a good
So
candidate for you?
tutoring could happen, but we would want them to leave the system and come to us 9 to 3, Monday through Friday. The big thing for foster kiddos is seeing that consistency and stability with an adult, and just knowing that, they can trust someone.
Yeah, it's the stability. I mean, that's for everybody. Let me ask you this. If there's one question I probably should have asked you today and I didn't, what was that question?
Oh, one of my favorite books that people never expect me to say is Energy Bus.
Energy Bus.
It's one of my
BUS?
favorite. Energy BUS, yeah. Energy Bus. It's great for leaders. Talking about being on the bus. How are you leading that bus? Oh, it's so good.
It's not like the movie Speed, where there's a dude driving and then it's been hijacked.
There's gum on my seat. Gum. No, Sandra Bullock is not in this book, or Keanu Reeves. But love Speed. Love it. Great movie.
Speed 2, not good. There was a side note. There was a bus chase in Atlanta. I saw a video on it. Like someone hijacked the bus
recently.
Yeah, apparently, I don't know.
Oh,
it was on a feed. I'm gonna guess
that's entertaining. That's entertaining.
I don't watch TV, and nor do I recommend anybody else to. It's
the fact that you have that fun fact is great. I do. I'm sorry. I watched Ted Lasso.
That's not TV. That's a required.
You're talking about like news.
Viewing for
leadership.
News? Yep.
Okay, yeah, I don't do the news ever. So when people are like, "Oh, did you hear about this?" I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. But Ted Lasso has my heart. It is the best.
I love it. Katy, thank you so much for coming on. Once again, listen, KatyRey.com. You rock. I love to keep it going. When you drive up into the non-for-profit Lambo, just know that people are going to judge you.
I don't like Lambos. Okay.
Whatever your representative Lambo, maybe the 2013 minivan with a front right quarter panel dented and a lot of other.
How dare you?
The other day I was at the gym and the guy goes, this guy I play racquetball with, he goes, "Hey, is that your blue McLaren out there?" And I go, it's that one's parked next to my car, which is a 2013 white minivan with interior damage, lots of dents, and stalls out when I put it in park.
First of all, I think we've just become closer after that. Thank you.
That's my rocking car. The best part about that car is it got hit in the front corner. Looks like they tried to take off my bumper. It didn't come off, just scraped it.
Yeah.
And I looked at it, and my wife was there, and I was like, I didn't even care. It didn't phase me at all.
Like,
I had no emotional attachment to the fact that car had yet another scratch or dent. I have kids about to be coming driving. I just want you to know, at some point, I'll probably really bulk up, get something really nice, like a Kia, 5-year-old Kia. I'll go do next. I get a 2018. That is a 5-year-older car. That's how I roll. Okay. I've digressed. Katy, thank you so much for coming on. I'll have you back on here in a second. Here, I'm going to say goodbye to everybody, but thanks again. KatyRey.com. Check out her stuff. She's a great person and really has a great mission. If this was your first time kind of listening and viewing, you rock. Thank you, and I hope it's the first of many. And if you've been here before, I occasionally just for fun give out dad points, and those you can spend anywhere. They're great. My kids have billions. Get out there. Go unleash your entrepreneur. Cut all the ties, the stuff that's holding you back. Stop making excuses and just become the entrepreneur you want. And if you can learn something from today's guest, or you can learn something from the other shows, I hope you do. Thank you so much for listening. Till next time, thanks for listening to the Never Been Promoted podcast and YouTube channel.